Leviticus 4. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, "Tell the Israelites when a person sins by straying unintentionally from any of the Lord's commandments, which must not be violated, and violates any one of them, if if the high priest sins so that the people are guilty on account of the sin he has committed, he must present a flawless young bull to the Lord for a sin offering." Okay, so pause right there. Go back. The Lord spoke, "Tell the Israelites when a person sins by straying unintentionally from God's commands, which must not be violated, and violates any one of them." So if this happens, and then if the priest sins, so let me just see what we have here on the footnote. If a person, when he sins, is straying, by straying literally is going astray or making an error, varies greatly, but almost all suggest that this term refers to sin that were committed by mistake and not knowing the particular act was sinful, unintentional. That's all we're trying to get the debate on. Okay. But now it doesn't sound like we finished that. So we've got the if someone violates and sins unintentionally, but we also have if the priest sins so that the people are guilty on account of the sin. So if the priest is sinful and then the priest offers sacrifices, then they would not be valid sacrifices because the priest would not be clean. He must bring a bull to the entrance of the tent of meeting before the Lord, lay its hands on the head of the bull, and slaughter the bull before the Lord. Notice the repetition here. All animals being slaughtered have their hands laid on the head of them. Then the high priest must take some of the blood of the bull and bring it into the tent of meeting. The priest must dip his fingers on the blood and sprinkle some of it 7 times before the Lord toward the front of the special curtain of the sanctuary. The priest must put some of the bloods on the horn of the altar of fragrant incense that is before the Lord in the tent of meeting, and all the rest of the bull's blood he must pour out at the base of the altar of burnt offering that is at the entrance of the tent of meeting. So when the priest has sinned, what we need to have the temple reestablished as purified and set apart as holy. So we have the temple being set apart as holy again. The priest must do this. This is what we had in Exodus with the establishment of all of the items of holy. There was for 7 days, the altar, for 7 days, the temple, like the offerings, the sacrifices were coming 7 days in a row to set them apart, totally set them apart. Now we're just having the reinstitution of cleanness on them. So the priest sins, bull is offered, and we go back through the sprinkling 7 times, and we go through the horns are going to have blood on them. The blood is the symbol of purification because the life is given for it to be reestablished as pure. Then he must take up all the fat from the sin offering bull, the fat covering the entrails, all the fat surrounding the entrails, the 2 kidneys with the fat on their sinews, and the protruding lobe of the liver, which he has to remove along with the kidneys. So again, we have all of the same items whenever there's an animal being sacrificed, all of these fatty portions, the delicacies. Just as it is taken from the ox of the peace offering sacrifice, and the priest must offer them up in smoke on the altar of burnt offering. But the hide of the bull, all its flesh, along with the head and its legs, its entrails, and its dung, all the rest of the bull, he must bring outside the camp to the ceremonial clean place, to the fatty ash pile, and he must burn it on a wood fire. It must be burned on the fatty ash pile. So just like with the rest of the bulls, when we had the institution of setting apart the tabernacle, bulls are slaughtered outside. Bulls do not go inside. The hide doesn't go inside. Only the offering pieces go inside, and the rest of the bull is burnt up. So when we had the other goat and the sheep offered, there's portions offered. We still haven't got instructions on the rest of it, of what happens to it. But here with the bull, it's burned up. Yeah, no haggis or chitlings. Yeah, on some level. If if the whole congregation of Israel strays unintentionally and the matter is not noticed by the assembly, and they violate one of the Lord's commandments, which must not be violated, so they become guilty, the assembly must present a young bull for a sin offering when the sin they have committed becomes known. They must bring it before the tent of meeting. The elders of the congregation must lay their hands on the head of the bull before the Lord, and someone must slaughter the bull before the Lord. So the person bringing is the ones who lays hands on things here, because the whole congregation, the whole people have sinned. The bull is brought, and the elders, as the representatives of the people, lay the hands on, and someone must slaughter the bull. Like, we're getting a lot of repetition here, but we're supposed to hear the repetition. There is a beauty in it. There's also everyone here should know what the priests are to do, and when you see the priest not doing what they are to do, you as the elder can call them out for not doing the thing they should be doing. Then the high priest must bring some of the blood of the bull to the tent of meeting. The priest must dip his finger in the blood and sprinkle some of the blood 7 times before the Lord toward the front of the curtain. He must put some of the blood on the horns of the altar, which is before the Lord in the tent of meeting. And all the rest of the blood he must pour out at the base of the altar of burnt offerings that is at the entrance of the tent of meeting. Then the priest must take all of its fat and offer the fat up in smoke on the altar. He must do with the rest of the bull just as he did with the bull of the sin offering. This is what he must do with it. So the priest will make atonement on their behalf, and they will be forgiven. He must bring the rest of the bull outside the camp and burn it just as he burned the first bull. It is a sin offering of the assembly. So it sounds like in this process, the priest is offering first for himself and then for the people. That's what it seems to be going on here. Whenever a leader, by straying unintentionally, sins and violates one of the commandments of the Lord his God, which must not be violated, and he pleads guilty, or his sin that he committed is made known to him, he must bring a flawless male goat as an offering. So for a sin that you're doing, now we have a male goat. So not a sheep and not a female. He must lay his hands on the head of the male goat and slaughter it in the place where the burnt offering is slaughtered before the Lord. It is a sin offering. Then the priest must take some of the blood of the sin offering with his finger and put it on the horns of the burnt offering, the altar of the burnt offering, and he must pour the rest of its blood at the base of the altar of the burnt offering. Then the priest must offer all of its fat up in smoke on the altar like the fat of the peace offering sacrifice. So the priest must make atonement on behalf for his sin, and he will be forgiven. Now, one of the things it doesn't really say here fully, because its focus is on the sacrifice being made, but is the heart posture. You are made aware of the error that you have made. You are confessing, you are turning from the sin, you are not remaining in the sin, and you are bringing the offering that is being given here. Why would you bring an offering otherwise if you're going to keep doing it? Like, if I'm going to, just for lack of thing to come to mind, if I'm going to continue to commit adultery, I can't just keep coming every week and offering for committing adultery. Yeah, I committed adultery again. Yeah, I committed adultery. Like, no, there has to be this repentance that's turning from, in order to the heart posture of what you're doing. It is not the ritual practice that's going on. Rise zone. Smoke on the altar, God's fire from the sky. Well, that would have been at the dedication of the temple and the tabernacle. If an ordinary individual sins by straying unintentionally when he violates one of the Lord's commandments, which he must not violate, and he pleads guilty. See, there we go. That's what I was talking about. There has to be this remnant of pleading guilty, confession of what you have done. Or his sin that he committed is made known to him, he must bring a flawless female goat. So now we have a shift. We have something different. Now we have a female goat as his offering for sin that he committed. He must lay his hands on the head of the sin offering and slaughter the sin offering in the place where the burnt offering is slaughtered. Then the priest must take some of the blood of his finger and put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and he must pour out all the rest of the blood at the base of the altar. Then he must remove all of its fat, just as fat was removed from the peace offering sacrifice. And the priest must offer it up in smoke on the altar for a soothing aroma to the Lord. So the priest will make atonement on his behalf, and he will be forgiven. So we have restoration of relationship being practiced here. This is how we come before the Lord and restore ourselves to him. But if, if he brings a sheep as his offering for a sin offering, he must bring a flawless female. So we have instructions to bring a female goat, but if you bring a sheep, it's a flawless female. So we could have just had the one instruction one time that it could be either, but we had it, it's this. This is the pre. But if you don't have that, you can go this way. He must lay his hands on the head of the sin offering and slaughter it for the sin offering in the place where the burnt offering is slaughtered. Then the priest must take some of the blood of the sin offering with his finger and put it on the horns of the altar, the burnt offering, and he must pour out the rest of the blood at the base of the altar. So we, again, are following through the procedure here that's happening. Then the one who brought the offering must remove all the fat, just as the fat of the sheep is removed from the peace offering sacrifice. And the priest must offer them up in smoke on the altar on top of the other gifts of the Lord. So the priest will make atonement on behalf for his sin that he has committed, and he will be forgiven. I hadn't made a point of this earlier, but we do have on top of the other gifts. So there is the burnt offering that's there. When you have a peace offering, it's on top. You're laying it on top. So there's this continuous on top of the other offerings that are there. You just keep adding on top and burning what is there as you are doing things and offering sacrifices as more people come before God.